So last year, I was diagnosed as autistic, which I think it's just made me realize it's given me this validation for my whole life of why I've been the way that I've been. So my whole life, I felt like I've been very intense or very emotional, very sensitive to the world around me. I find noise very difficult. I find so many things very challenging. But ever since I've been very young, my art has been what I've escaped into to make sense of the world around me, to quiet my brain down. Being out in the landscape and the environment has allowed my brain to calm down as well, especially when there's just too much sensory input going on in other places. So getting the diagnosis of autism, it's almost like it's given me the language to describe myself and the words to describe how I really am and how my brain works when I've never known that about myself. So it's just been the best validation ever. There's been a lot of grief that's came because there's a lot of things that I've experienced in life where I've just felt that had to try harder, or that I was being difficult, or that I was just being very dramatic. But actually, my brain's different from people that are not autistic. So there's been a lot of grief involved with that process, but equally knowing that I am the way I am and that being autistic it's a different way of being. It's like a different operating system. And I think to have that language and to realize that about myself it's just been the best feeling to then advocate for myself more, to be in no way hesitant with telling people about it, because so many people are autistic, so many people also have ADHD, or they're neurodivergent. So there's so many people that are in general, and it's not a lack, it's just different. And it's been really empowering actually to realize that about myself, give me the language to describe myself and how I am. And if there's any difficulties that I have, then I can understand them so much more now, and ultimately just advocate for myself as opposed to gaslighting myself, which I have done previously. And makes a lot of sense why I'm so hyper focused with my art, because there is that like real intensity that comes with that. But I think it's been a massive part of why I've established myself as an artist, because being autistic is challenging, but also it's definitely allowed me to have this quite intense hyper focus, and there's just no way I could have done anything else. So yeah, it's been a lot to come to terms with, but equally very empowering at the same time. So it's been a series of things. So my mum and I spoke a lot about this. Like, it's very obvious that my mum's autistic, and she came to that realization herself. The doctor mentioned that to her. In a relationship that I've been in, it was just very obvious, being able to so be myself, and to certain things would come out that I was like, oh, that's interesting behavior. Okay, that I wonder what that's all about. Or I think it's just been a series of understanding that, and I started to realize I was finding things very, very challenging because I no longer wanted to people please, and was going to social events last year or the year before, which normally when I was younger, if I found them uncomfortable, I would just drink alcohol, or I would push those feelings down. Whereas now I'm not willing to change who I am, and I'm not willing to tone myself down, or I'm also not willing to dismiss how I feel. So I think when all of that came to the surface, then I went through the process of having a diagnosis with a psychologist, and I got that diagnosis. And I think it's just been a series of many different things, which then I can look back throughout my whole life, now seeing it through a different lens, or seeing it through the real lens, and it all makes sense now. I think the biggest advice I can give to people that are younger, that feel that they're also neurodivergent, is that to never internalize things as failures, because if your brain's different, it's different. And we sadly live in a world that's very much created for neurotypical people. The world is very noisy, lights are very bright, things are very loud and very overwhelming, actually, as a sensitive person. And those are not weaknesses. It's actually a really an amazing thing to be a sensitive person in a world that likes to just scroll on past things, or that likes to push things under the, what is it, brush things under the rug, whatever that term is. And actually, if you think that you're neurodivergent, it's absolutely challenging. But yeah, just to not internalize those things as failures. It's because your brain's different. It's a different operating system, and it's got incredible pros that people that aren't autistic have. But it's very much a different experience. It's not a lack experience. It's just different. And yeah, just advocate for yourself.